YouTube subscriber Patrick and his rescue dog Lulu sent me photos of a stray he'd been feeding. The cat had been living outside for at least 3 years. He was dirty, losing weight, and had open sores on his feet that wouldn't heal. His face was always scratched from the neighbourhood cats that bullied him. I had no rescue space, but headed over regardless, deciding to work it out as I went along. Hopefully I could scan him for a microchip to see if he had an owner. I wasn't sure if it would be possible, as he wouldn't let anyone close. As I parked, there he was, right in front of me, but then he took off, moving like a typical stray. I threw treats to land in front of him, hoping he'd stop and consider. He was so used to being shooed away, he didn't understand that I wanted to engage. Patrick called him FDC, an abbreviation for front door cat, as he sat on his doorstep each day calling for food. With a treat in one hand and a microchip scanner in the other, I made my move. He then suddenly turned from scared to sweet. He wasn't chipped, no surprise. I had an idea that would be nervy, but I thought was worth a try. I, nor anyone else, had rescue space. By using my social media, I wondered if I could find an experienced person who would adopt FDC unconditionally and straight off the street. If this was to work, I needed to gauge his personality, so decided to start by picking him up to see how he'd react. I felt his whole body relaxing, as if he was transported back to being held as a kitten. I'd give him a 9 out of 10. This looks promising. By now, quite an audience had built up on the street, and I could tell they were surprised that FDC not only allowed, but enjoyed the attention.
Good boy. Good boy.
First, I needed to door knock to see if anyone knew about FDC, but it would have been easier to get information if I were the homicide police. Curtains were twitching and most people weren't answering.
Stop it! Get in! Get in! Are you It's usually on the front here.
Are there any doors I should knock on, or so just one?
No.
Okay, thanks anyway. The locals I managed to talk to said he was known as the Scruffy Cat. He'd been around for years. Overall, a better than expected day. I headed home, armed with good footage and an insight into his personality. I posted some pictures and details of FDC on my social media. After a few doubtful days, a wonderful family showed real interest. It was decided FDC was no longer homeless. Wasting no time, the next day I set the trap by Patrick's front door. Lulu stood guard, while Backdoor Cat came over to help. She's a whole other story. The trap was set with every sneaky trick I knew. FDC finally appeared, half an hour late, and unusually, he didn't go to Patrick's front door. His suspicions had obviously been raised. Now I had to get him over to the trap without scaring him off for good. One treat at a time, I made a trail. I soon learnt he wanted me to throw the treats, not just put them on the ground. He was enjoying the game. Softly, softly, catchy monkey. My heart skipped a beat when the trap jaw stuck for a millisecond. That was really close.
It's a good boy. It's a good boy.
A bittersweet moment for Patrick.
Got a bus cut. Oh, almost there. You've got a beautiful face.
Not only did he feed FDC, but realised he needed more, so took time to ask for help. Patrick was very fond of FDC, however couldn't take him in because of a non-cat loving obligation.
Good boy, don't you worry.
Once in the car, I checked him over for any obvious problems. The scratches on his face were from the cats that bullied him. Patrick needed to sit with FDC at mealtime, otherwise the other cats would take his food. Sadly, FDC just let them, even though he was starving.
Good boy.
I headed north to deliver FDC to Christine. She decided to rename him Alfie. Christine was an experienced owner. She was adopting Alfie unconditionally, without knowing his personality or what the unknown vet costs or health issues might be. She has a 2-year-old female cat called Alice that he'll be separated from until he's neutered and had all the necessaries done at the vet's. Alice is cheeky and sassy, and I think a good match for the gentle street boy. Okay, Alfie, stay calm. We're about to enter your forever home. I had prepared Christine for the worst scenario. On exiting the trap, Alfie could panic and climb the walls. We would need to quickly close the curtains and turn off the light. The darkness always calms them.
Yeah, no, don't panic. Don't panic. It's okay. Good boy.
Here goes. We watched on high alert.
Good boy. Hello, darling.
Oh, there you go, window. Good boy.
Alfie quickly scanned the room, looking for an escape route. Then stopped to think, attention, food, soft bed. What am I trying to escape from?
That's your new bed.
Come here. Look at this.
Alfie.
Here's to your new life, boy.
Good boy.
It was lovely seeing the instant chemistry between Alfie and Christine. It was like it was always meant to be.
They always work, don't they, these? Oh, that was yummy, wasn't it? Yummy, it's gone. It's gone. Good boy. Oh, darling. Hello, sweetheart. Oh, yes. You do need a wash.
Then the icing on the cake with the cherry on top. 5 minutes after arriving, he makes himself at home.
Is that biscuits you're making? Oh, yeah. Bless him.
I left for home, struggling to keep my eyes dry, but still nervous of how things would unfold. Would he remain calm? Would the vets discover any major problems? Would he bond with Alice?
Are you hungry?
The next day, Christine messaged to say Alfie had his breakfast and had used the litter tray. He was already enjoying pats and belly rubs.
Oh. Oh.
A few days later, she gave him a much-needed bath. Here he is grooming himself just after. When Alice was in the garden, Alfie was let out of his room to explore the house. He was a little scared at first.
Alfie. Alfie. Coming back in?
You've been a good boy coming out of your room. Aren't you? Are you hungry? Are you hungry? You want some food?
Learning how to play, and slowly been introduced to Alice. The vet gave him antibiotics, which helped heal the open sores on his feet. He'd been neutered and had all the necessaries. The vet estimated Alfie to be 7 years old. It makes you wonder what went so wrong in his life. Then the big moment. Alice and Alfie meet face to face. Over the coming weeks, they chose to share the same space. Now he had settled, Alfie was finally let outside. Christine told me a neighbour's cat tried to pick a fight with Alice, but Alfie stepped in and put a stop to it. When I told Patrick, he said the old Alfie would have run a mile. Maybe he finally has something or someone to fight for. He certainly won Alice's heart. Like, subscribe, comment. Thank you for joining me on another rescue.